Harriett Baldwin.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Speaker, and I'll try not to gabble. But I want to speak to new clause 11, which is in my name and many other honourable and right honourable members. And I was very pleased to hear from the opposition front bench of their support for my amendment as well. And I should clarify, Madam Deputy Speaker, that I'm speaking as an individual backbencher today rather than as chair of the Treasury Select Committee. And as the Minister was highlighting, one of the many benefits of being able to bring back financial regulation into the UK is that we're able to create rules that will help unleash growth and investment here. And my amendment here today highlights the opportunity that is presented by reviewing MiFID and looking at how we can once again look at the boundary between regulated advice and guidance. And I'm proposing personalised guidance on financial matters. We all know that about a decade ago, the implementation of the Retail Distribution Review, it means that financial advice now is a very high quality service. It is something that is very expensive and that the vast majority of our constituents don't pay for, are not willing to pay for. Something like 8% of people, I confess I am one, are lucky enough to be able to have a financial advisor and able to afford one. But 92% of our constituents do not have that luxury. And indeed, when I was Economic Secretary in 2015, I launched something called the Financial Advice Market Review, which came up with 28 recommendations to help our constituents. And there were many wise steps taken at the time, including being able to use £500 from your pension savings to pay for some financial advice when you use the pension freedoms. However, despite these measures, there's still an enormous gap for our constituents who, for example, about 10 million people in this country are fortunate enough to have over £10,000 in savings, but 58% of that money will be just sitting there in cash, and we all know how that inflation is eroding the value of those investments. So my amendment, New Clause 1, really approaches the problem from the other direction. I was pleased to hear the Economic Secretary commit today at the dispatch box that he will use these new flexibilities to see if he cannot do something like a personalised guidance review with great urgency that will help our constituents with the following sort of generic examples of. So, for example, a customer may be saving a deposit for their first home, but they're doing it in a cash ISA. This customer could be nudged by their financial institution to suggest they consider putting the money into a lifetime ISA so that they would get the government rebate. Or a customer could be sitting on a large cash balance for many months, well above their normal 3-month outgoings, and they would get an alert warning them about the detriment of inflation to the value of cash and narrowing down some suggestions for getting a better deal for their cash. And I think many of our constituents, particularly elderly constituents, there's a lot of inertia. They're not receiving very much on their deposits, and this would give them a nudge that there are better rates that they could receive out there. Another customer might indeed have invested in a fund on the platform many years ago, not have done anything to it since, and it's a poor performing fund. They could get a nudge of some personalised guidance. Or a customer who opens a junior ISA, which by definition is going to have a very long time horizon, might get a nudge that cash is not the ideal investment to have in a junior ISA, and that indeed in their circumstances something with more of a long-term time horizon might protect them more from inflation.
Would you give way?
Yes, I give way.
I'm grateful to her going, and I agree with the case that she's making. I've signed her amendment. I wonder whether she saw the point made by the Work and Pension Select Committee in our report in September about concerns about stepping across the advice guidance boundary, constraining pension schemes and employers from giving people very helpful and sensible support as they make their choices about what to do with their pension savings. And would her amendment help in that situation?
No, well, I want to thank my right honourable friend for signing the amendment and for his excellent report. And he is absolutely right that the workplace would be one of the best places to give people some of these nudges and explore this, the boundary between guidance and advice. Because our constituents are craving this advice, particularly during this cost of living crisis. They want more guidance from their financial institutions. They're turning online, often to sources of unregulated information to help them navigate their finances. They're finding it complex, they're finding it confusing, they're choosing investments that are often very high risk, not suited to them at all, like meme stocks or crypto or spread betting, for example. And it shouldn't really be this way, Madam Deputy Speaker, because the technology does now exist for financial services, fintech firms, to guide people better towards making better financial choices and following good mainstream investment opportunities. MiFID-originated legislation is getting in the way. This amendment is enabling the Treasury to introduce the necessary legislation with great urgency to allow regulated financial service firms to offer UK households personal guidance. It's a great opportunity to unlock investment in our country. It will help our constituents earn more. It will allow innovation and financial technology will help our constituents level up their own economic futures. So I'm delighted that the Economic Secretary has agreed today to look into this matter with great urgency. I give way to my honourable friend.
I'm extremely grateful and fully in support of this measure. And just for the ears of the Treasury bench and her, Just is a company in Reigate formed out of Just Retirement and Partnership, which were challenger products to the existing around equity release and around insurance for people, smokers, for example, and life insurance products of that kind. And as challenger products, they were anxious that people would have access to independent advice, not just being directed to the products that were being produced by their own providers.
In conclusion, Madam Deputy Speaker, personalised guidance offers the Economic Secretary the chance to make his mark and help all of our constituents benefit from better financial information. And I'm so pleased that he's committed today to look at this with utmost urgency.
John MacDonald.
I fully agree with the Honourable Member for West Worcestershire, and I